Hi, it's Sarah with House Copper and Cookware, just in from the shop tonight, so I'm sorry it's a little late and it's dark and not as pretty and fancy for this video, but I wanted to make the video before I forgot. We've been discussing cast iron cookware lately in the shop and on social media, and the comment and question has been brought to me on why we use seasoned cast iron cookware in the first place. And it crossed my mind that we don't talk, the cast iron people, in the, in every forum, we don't really talk about the initial process and why the seasoning process happens. Everyone knows cast iron cookware needs to be seasoned to work properly, to be non-stick, and to be easy to cook in. The seasoning itself is probably one of the most contentious topics when it comes to cast iron cookware. People have an opinion about how hot you make your cast iron when you're seasoning it, whether you do it over an open fire or in the oven, how many coats you put on, of what material, everything from, pig fat and bear lard and olive oil and avocado oil and flaxseed oil. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the very basic beginning stage of cast iron seasoning. And the big thing that is not discussed is that initial stage of seasoning. Cast iron does not live in a vacuum. It lives in our world where there's oxygen. Oxygen has water in it. The air always has moisture, unless, again, you live in a vacuum. So the air is carrying moisture. The moisture has water. The water invades the particles of your cast iron skillet. So even though it may look dry, maybe you think it's dry, there are tiny microscopic water droplets sitting on your iron, possibly even permeating inside of it. And that's why if you have raw cast iron and you have water sitting on it, or it hasn't been seasoned properly, you're going to get those blooms of iron oxide or rust on them. So when you get raw iron, or when you strip some iron and you plan to re-season it yourself, the big thing you're doing is you are boiling that microscopic water off of your skillet and making it bone dry in a way that you can't even see with the naked eye. So you need to permeate the heat through your cast iron all the way through to at least 250 degrees, since the boiling point of water is a little less than that, and you are guaranteeing that your iron is bone dry. From there, you want to immediately do your first, if not second or third layer of seasoning of your choice. And another little tip I like to point out is that whatever you choose to use for your cast iron seasoning, check your smoke points. So again, safflower oil or pig lard, whatever you end up using, check the smoke point so that when you're doing the seasoning process, you don't heat your iron past the temperature of your smoke point, so that when you pull off your iron, you put in that particular substance, and instead of polymerizing, it burns. I have gotten the irons too hot over the fire. I pull them off, I spray in the organic flaxseed oil we use, and it bursts into flames because we got them too hot. And then that coating is essentially just lost. So that's just another little tip that I like to bring out. But the big one is that basic step to cast iron seasoning that gets passed over in the heated argument on what is the best way to season. But let's go remember the very early why. So there you go. That's your basic coat, and I am going to go try and get the rest of the blacking off of me from the buffing wheel, and I hope you all have a good night. As always, please leave a comment, question, preference, whatever, down in the comments below. I always like this to be an exchange between all of us who care about our cookware, and have a good one.